Hello and welcome to the April Adopt a Dolphin e-update. I'm Charlie Phillips. A slightly different video this month. This video is entitled Dolphins on My Doorstep, about the slightly bonkers life I lead, studying the dolphins that you so generously adopt. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. And to illustrate the title of my talk, Dolphins on My Doorstep, you can see here in the village of North Keswick, two people standing watching three dolphins in the water, and the red van there, that's the local postman. The resident population of bottlenose dolphins that we have in the Moray Firth and the east coast of Scotland, they travel over a wide area. This map shows you what we call the inner Firth, and this is where I normally work. Round about here is where we have hot spots of dolphin activity. From the very bottom of the map where it says Inverness, this is the Keswick Channel, and then a little bit further up you see Fortrose with the green dot on it and the dolphin symbol. This is the Chanonry Narrows, and then a little bit further north to that again is the entrance to the Cromarty Firth. Then a little bit further north we have the Dornoch Firth. This is quite a popular area for dolphins to hunt for herring in the winter time. Then if we go right up to the top of the map, there's an area around about Helmsdale. This is also very good for dolphins in the winter time. If we go along to the right of the map, you'll see the dolphin symbol with the green dot there. And this is where Whale and Dolphin Conservation has our Scottish Dolphin Centre. It's at the lovely area called Spey Bay. Spey Bay is one of the great salmon rivers in Scotland, and we see dolphins there a lot, especially during the summer. And this is a shot of me down at what I laughingly call my office. This is me right at the water's edge at Chanonry Point. A photo taken by an old pal of mine, Alan Ward. And it shows you me at the water's edge with my big camera gear, and there's dolphins maybe only 3 or 4 meters away from me. And sometimes when I'm down doing my work, I get joined by some friends. Here we have some people down at the beach at Chanonry Point near the lighthouse, and there's dolphins just in the foreground here. These dolphins are leaving the area as the tide is pretty high. You can see many people during the year coming down. It's a beautiful beach, Chanonry Point, and people come for a walk. There's always something to see down there, whether it's seals or dolphins or seabirds. But in the summer it can get particularly busy, and you can see why. Here's a dolphin called Zephyr with one of her calves, and she's only a few meters from the beach, and people are getting lovely photographs. Sometimes I take my big camera up the beach and actually shoot photographs through the people, through the crowds of people, and you can see one of the young dolphins here leaping out the water. We call it breaching, and dolphins do this for a variety of reasons. This dynamic behaviour that especially bottlenose dolphins exhibit brings a lot of people to the area, and this is what this exciting behaviour is what people really want to see. It can be quite spectacular when the big adult dolphins do this. They quite often do this as a display to each other. They're not really putting on a show for people, as some people think. But the big adults that can reach over 3.5 meters in length and weigh about 500 kilos, it's really spectacular when they start doing this. The juveniles, this is part of their social behaviour because this is their journey up the pecking order that we have in dolphin society. It's one of the things that's little understood about them is some of their social structure. We know quite a lot about these dolphins physically, but the actual social structure itself is still shrouded in mystery sometimes. And getting back to the Dolphins on My Doorstep title, there's one of the villages in the background. This is around the Black Isle. This is at a place called Rosemarkie. And here's some dolphins a few hundred meters out from the beach. And people can actually sit in their houses in Rosemarkie quite often with scopes or even by the naked eye sometimes, and they can see dolphins leaping about. It's quite a popular holiday destination. As is Cromarty, and here's a lovely young dolphin coming right up to the boat that I was on. And you can actually see the village of Cromarty in the background. And there are some parked oil rigs. These oil rigs are not actually working, they're actually in there for repair and maintenance. And it's a very deep area of water, very deep with very strong tidal currents. And this is why we get dolphins up there so much. Pretty much why they go down to Chanonry as well. It's always lovely to see dolphins in their environment, and having some landscape in the background is lovely. Magazine editors like this type of thing, and especially if it's nice colourful photographs. One of the most important food sources for these bottlenose dolphins that live in the Moray Firth are migratory salmon. The salmon start to run about March into April and go all the way through the summer. And dolphins gather at certain places like Chanonry Point, the Kessock Channel, and the entrance to the Cromarty Firth. These are important places that the dolphins use actually to intercept and trap salmon. You can see the teeth in the dolphin there. They have about 50 of these pointed teeth in each jaw, and these make great tools for grabbing slippy fish like big salmon. It's always spectacular to see, but the actual catching of the fish can be over in a split second. You've really got to be on your toes with your camera when dolphins are doing this. Sometimes when the light's right and the camera's behaving properly and the dolphins are lovely and active and are hunting well, everything just comes together and you get magic little moments like this where the dolphin's sharp and where the salmon's sharp as well. I treasure shots like this because they're actually quite hard to get. Here's young Charlie coming right up to the boat that I was in, and he still had a salmon in his mouth. One of the ladies in the boat actually thought he was offering me his lunch. When the summer comes to an end and the migratory salmon begin to run out, the dolphins have to change the menu. And the fish that they start to catch are lovely oily juicy fish like mackerel. This young dolphin here is actually throwing a mackerel in the air while his friend in the background is actually diving after a mackerel that he actually missed. Some of the younger dolphins don't go for the bigger fish right away. They prefer to catch smaller stuff like sand eels. Young dolphins will quite often play with things. Dolphins are very tactile animals anyway. And what we find is that young dolphins especially, they love animate objects and inanimate objects like jellyfish. Jellyfish are great fun to play with. You can throw them up and down and drape them across your head. And if you throw them up in the air, you can sometimes open your mouth and try and catch them. But when you catch them, surprisingly, the jellyfish explodes. This is me out at sea with some of my friends from Aberdeen University's field station in Cromarty. They have a small boat, a rigid inflatable, and we go out and do what's called photo ID with dolphins. We spend a whole day travelling around the area and we hopefully find groups of dolphins and we photograph the dorsal fins. This photograph, taken from the Aberdeen University research boat, is a classic example of how we identify these dolphins. You can see all the tooth marks and scratches that are all over the dorsal fin and parts of the body as well. This is a young dolphin that we call Legion, and he's a great example of actual markings that have happened because of other dolphins. This dolphin's maybe been in a few fights, and this is what we use as a fundamental tool to be able to identify the dolphins that we have in the population. And this is how we know that we have just under 200. You can see 2 pages of the catalogue here, and there's Legion on the left, and on the right we have one of the WDC adoption dolphins who's called Mischief, and he's got a big cut at the bottom of his dorsal fin. And there's one of my pictures of him. He's an amazing big dolphin, very dark, very black. Some of the young dolphins still look quite silvery up until they're about 8 or 9 years old. But once they become adult in their mid-teens, the skin on their back tends to darken down quite a lot. There's nothing quite like being with wild free dolphins in their element, absolutely unhindered by anything at all. And they can travel for many, many miles every day, socializing, hunting, playing. Wild and free, the way that all dolphins and whales should be. The babies tend to start being born round about August into September, and the babies have been in the mum's womb for about 13 months. They're absolutely gorgeous when they're born. This little cutie here is only a few hours old. This is one of our adoption dolphins, Rainbow, and she's got one of her wee babies with her. This baby has grown up and is now about 8 years old, and his name's Indigo. He's a lovely young lad. It's wonderful to be able to follow the lives of these dolphins from birth until death. This is one of Spirit's young babies. Spirit's another one of the dolphins that you can adopt with WDC. Sometimes you get the angle just right and the light's beautiful, and when the babies actually come towards you, you get them almost shrunk wrapped in the water. The bubbles at the top, that's the breath of the young dolphin as it comes to the surface. Some of the dolphins' skin can get a little bit mottled. Dolphins get skin conditions the same as we can, and little spots and scratches and wrinkles and things. Here's another one of the youngsters coming zooming towards us, actually surfing through the waves. We see these dolphins from birth until death, and this is me quite a while ago looking at the skeleton of one of our famous old female dolphins. She was called Kess, and we did an exhibition about Kess's life in Inverness Museum. It was a very emotional time because we loved Kess so much, and this is her daughter. This is her daughter Keslet, who's jumping up in the air and breaching. And Keslet's one of the absolute stars of the adoption program. She's a wonderful dolphin. And this photograph shows Charlie, who is the son of Keslet that we've just seen in the previous slide, and is the grandson of Kess. Charlie was named after me by Aberdeen University. It was a great honour because that doesn't normally happen. We have dolphins very close to our big major cities up here. And this is actually Keslet and Charlie coming into Inverness Harbour. That's the harbour patrol boat in the background there. They quite often act like a harbour patrol boat themselves. They actually show the boats in and out. People that live around the Black Isle and this part of Scotland, they quite often have their own boats, but people that visit, either sailing or through motorboats, will quite often come across these resident dolphins. They're always amazed when the dolphins actually chum them along. It always makes their holiday. Unfortunately, the weather's not always as blue and as calm as in that last photograph. It's quite often like this. It's very grey and very choppy. But these dolphins are pretty tough. They're designed to cope with this rough weather because a few feet under the surface, it's actually quite serene. Here's another shot of a dolphin with a yacht in the background. This is a little bit further along the coast. This is a bit nearer towards Spey Bay, where WDC have our Scottish Dolphin Centre. It's another great place to see dolphins. It's also a lovely place during the day to visit because we have ospreys and seals around as well. Every now and again we get unusual visitors, and this is a pair of male killer whales, or orca as we prefer to call them. And this happened in January 2019. We had a visit from two of the West Coast orca population. These are two big males. The big dorsal fin at the front belongs to a male called Aquarius, and the dorsal fin to the right of the photograph with the notch out of it, that belongs to big John Coe. These are two quite famous orcas now. The population of orca on the west coast have dwindled away, and experts believe that these two males are the last members of that actual population. It's very sad. And here's a slightly arty photograph. This is a sunrise shot of Keslet surfacing in the Keswick Channel. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip through dolphins on my doorstep. It's a funny old life that I lead, and trying to keep up with what the 200 odd dolphins that we have in the population are doing can run you ragged sometimes. But as far as a job goes, I think myself pretty lucky, to be quite honest. So thank you very much for listening, and bye for now. Don't forget to send me your questions about bottlenose dolphins by the 17th of May, and we'll try and get them in the May Adopt a Dolphin e-update for you. Thank you.